Hello there, and welcome to Dare to Live with Mary at Jagbe. How have you been? How has the journey been? Have you been following me? Have you been listening in on other podcasts? If you haven't, guys, please check it out. Listen, I've been on a flow lately, and trust me, it's been amazing. As you know, Dare to Live podcast is geared towards encouraging, towards strengthening, teaching, and really just daring you to leave. So, will you dare to leave? Of course, you want to. So last week I wasn't able to meet up on Thursday because I've been in a training, I've been writing exams, so I'm not done yet. So it's been a bit, topsy turvy, but I try at least to now maybe see to just drop at least one podcast per week. I know I'm slowing down, but please bear with me. I know that I'll pick up again, we'll pick up the pace again very soon. And of course, I'm working on, new contents and new stuff that, I believe will elevate you, will strengthen you, and really will help you to dare to live. So today I'm going to be talking about be still. I know you've probably heard that before. Peace be still. You've probably heard, even the song, I will be still and know you are God. When the oceans are and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the floor. Now we'll be still and know you are God. Yeah, I can sing, can't I? Okay, guys. So be still. What exactly does it mean to be still? So I think that as usual, you know that I've got a story. My life is filled with so many stories, and what better way to be vulnerable with you all, so that you know that you're not the only one feeling what you feel. You're not the only one going through what you're going through, and that there are people also going through stuff just like you are. Maybe not on the same frequency, but everyone has got stuff being dished out to them daily, and they have to deal. So I remember that sometime last year in 2021, I remember that I was in a particular church. I mean, I think I hear God, like I hear God in the church. I hear him speak when, at random times, very, very random. I hear him speak, while I'm in transit, on the bus, or mostly in transit, I hear him speak. And also, of course, when I'm in a very meditative state, I'm in a cool place, I also hear him speak. So I remember that I was done. I think I was done working, and all of a sudden I heard someone say to me, someone called my name. It was a minister. It was a minister, and he just called Mary, and he said, the next thing that came out of his mouth was, "Come up higher." And I looked in his direction, and it almost seemed like he didn't say anything. Like, he just looked at me and smiled, and that was it. But I knew that I heard God through him. I knew that I was God sending me a message to come up higher. Now, before that, I'd been in a very, very terrible state, mentally. I'd just been wounded, a lot emotionally, and I was dealing with a lot of things. And I was just really in a bad place emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually too. Yeah, I was really in a very bad place, and I think I was just living day to day, surviving. I was also doing what I call comfort fooding. I don't know if that's the way to put it, but I kind of just started eating so that I was just eating to almost be sane. Yeah, so there's that comfort food, just you eat to replace something, maybe a thought or a fear or something like that. It happens. People do that a lot, and some people don't even know that they're doing it, but they do, to kind of cope. So I think for me, at different seasons I've had different coping mechanisms with different situations and challenges. And at this point I'd become comfort eating, and so I just kept on eating, almost like to stay sane. And I remember when this person said, "Come up higher," I heard God through that person, and I turned, and every other person was, activity was still going on. There were people around and everything, and everybody was still doing what they were doing, and almost like nobody sent me, like what has been said, and almost like nobody else caught what was being said in that moment. But I knew that that was God speaking to me. And before then, I had heard, while I was waking up one morning, I'd heard, "Come unto me, O ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." I didn't know how to come to God. I didn't know how to rest. I didn't know how to do all of those things. But His word said, "Come to me, O ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest." And then this time I was hearing, "Come up higher." So I think that I would like to say that I think that I at least still approached the throne, but not in the frequency and not in the way that God would have me come closer to Him. And I remember that I was just struggling through a lot, and at the same time, not long after, my best friend died. And it was a very, before she died, a month before, I was robbed, and it was a very, very terrible, terrible thing, terrible experience for me. Just imagine being in a bad place already mentally, and then being robbed, and then a month later, your best friend dies. It was just a lot to deal with. I remember crying to God one night after I'd been robbed, that is, and I was just like, "God, how can you said you were going to be there for me, you said you were going to do this, you said you were going to do that, and three guys just came up to me and they took my bag, my phones, my ATM cards, and I thank God they were able to block it, immediately, because I was on my way to church early morning prayers when that happened." And the funniest thing was, immediately I was dropped off and I saw the guy coming towards me. I kind of knew that I was done for. And before then I'd just been having this sense and this fear, like, oh, I was going to be robbed, that it was almost like I was just getting signals, but I didn't really know, and I just thought it was my fear and everything. And that morning, before I was dropped off, I kind of could have just told the driver to drive forward a bit, but I didn't want to be a burden, so I just said, "Oh, it's fine, drop me off here." And as he dropped me off, he drove off, and I walked on the path. The guy just accosted me, and two other guys ran very quickly from across the road, and they guarded me. And I remember crying to God after the whole thing, because I kept on having nightmares, and having really terrible dreams for almost 2 weeks. I wasn't in a good place. I was always shaky. I was extra. I was just I was traumatized. And I remember him saying to me that, "Child, I was right there with you. It could have been worse. They could have stabbed you and pushed you into the gutter, and nobody would have known. They probably would have found your body maybe sometime later, or maybe days later, or anything, because they were trying to push me into a place, but for some reason I was just able to, I just stood my ground." And the other guy, now the deal was, I had two bags with me. I had my laptop bag in one, and then I carried my sweater, and so I put my sweater in my laptop bag. So when they touched it, it was just my sweater that they felt, So the guy thought it was just clothing I had in the bag. And the other guy just said, "Just leave the bag for him, just leave the bag for him." And I remember that the first guy who accosted me couldn't say a word. The only thing he did was just held on to my bag and was just looking into my eyes. And I remember that so clearly, almost like it was hypnotized, and he just stood there. And the other two guys were the ones that were saying, "Just leave the bag for him, leave the bag for him, okay, I'll bring it back for you, I'll bring it back." And so they took the bag. I released the bag, and it left. They all left. They ran so fast. And I was trying to run after them when I realized, "Come, where are you running to?" I ran back. So I remember having this conversation with God, like, "God, you should have saved me. You said you were going to be there for me. You gave me your word that you were going to be there for me, and all of that and all of this." And after I was done ranting and everything, I just heard that, that quiet voice that said to me that I was right there with you. I know it didn't seem like it, but it could have been worse. Think of all the things that could have happened. You could have been stabbed. You could have been killed right there. The laptop bag could have been stolen too. But if you really just take a moment to see, you will know that I was right there while it was happening. And that broke me. And I just kept on crying. And I remember I just kept on crying and crying. And a month after that, again, I lost my friend. I remember that when I mean, when a friend chatted me up on Facebook, she was just like, oh, hi, Mary. And she wanted to say something. A part of me just said, please don't tell me this person is dead because she's been ill. And I remember that I turned off my phone because for some reason I just couldn't deal. Almost like I knew what had happened, but for some reason I turned off all my phones and I went to sleep. And I remember that I was jolted awake 1 a.m. And as I woke up, I saw different messages from different people. Is it true? Is it true? Is it this? Is it that? I didn't even respond to any one of them. Any one of them I didn't respond to. So I went online and then I saw, how you see how somebody has, deleted a message, but I think Facebook kind of just still shows you. So I read it and I saw the message and I didn't cry. I was just shocked. I remember going to work the next day and people I was working with just called and said, my best friend is dead. My best friend is dead. And I remember crying for hours on end. Like it was almost like nobody could stop me. I just kept on crying. Different people were coming in, just to hold me. I just kept on crying. For the first time in my life, I came face to face to something else that broke me. It broke me. I was angry at so many things and so many people because I felt like the death could have been avoided. Our death broke me. But this is how I gained strength. In the midst of it all, everything happening and different people calling, trying to, I don't know how people do what they do, but, almost trying to confirm, why are you calling me to confirm, and all of that. I was just very angry. Why are people asking me when she was alive? Did you care about her? Why are you calling me now to ask me about her? And everything. And I dealt with all of that emotions and everything in the weeks to come, even learning that, we're the same month, the same age. And so her birthday was just like, weeks before mine. And so all of that, I just felt like she was supposed to be 27 with me. That was last year. I just kept on saying she was going to be 27 in a few months. We had talked about what we're going to do. We talked about this. Why did she have to leave? And immediately she was buried the same day, because she's young and everything. So I don't think that it keep, the cops for a young person till the next day. They kind of go and bury them immediately and all of that. And so I hear the next day that she'd been buried. Guys, I think I went through different motions, and everything and all of that. And it was a very terrible time for me, that last year and everything. And in the midst of it all, was almost like I felt God calling me to a place of stillness, calling me to a place of, calm, because there were a lot of storms that were raging. There were a lot of really crazy storms raging, and I was just sensing God calling me to a place of rest and calm and peace and tranquility, But for the life of me, I was just too shaken up. I was having nightmares, I was different things. I couldn't sleep well at night. I was scared, I had all those thoughts about how, maybe she was gonna come and send me a message. I was in denial. I was going through whatever it is that people do when they grieve, all of the emotions. For the life of me, I went through all of it. All of it. I would just cry. I'll remember her and I would cry, But I remember that how I was able to deal with it was that I remember that while she was ill and everything, I had prayed to God and spoken to him, and he just said, I remember talking to her on phone while she was screaming in pain, and I said to her that God is going to heal you. But sometimes when we say certain things, we don't know what we really mean. And I just kept on saying, God is going to heal you. This pain is too much. And the way that she was healed was that she was taken home to be with the Father, to rest with Him. She's enjoying, and all. But yeah, it was getting all cranked up, getting angrier, almost like I barred myself away from the world, and everything. But I still felt like God was calling me to a place of stillness, and I couldn't achieve it. I couldn't even get into that place because my head was filled with so much fear, was filled with so much anxiety, PTSD, all of that from being robbed and all of that. I was dealing with so many things at the same time. But in the midst of it, I felt God calling me to a place of stillness and a place of healing and a place of refreshing. I remember then that when people would ask me and say, Mary, what's going on with you? I'll be like, I'm in therapy session with God. Like, guys, I don't know how I came about that, but I'll say I'm in a therapy room with God. I still am, because this would bring me to my point to say that a lot of us have gone through raging storms, and stillness is needed to be able to glide above the storms, to be able to even deal with the storms, to be able to see. So I read a little bit on the eagle, because I'm an eagle. And I realized something about the eagle is that when a storm comes, right, it doesn't go flapping its wings immediately and get on. It totally relaxes itself, and it waits for a particular wind turmoil to come. And when the wind turmoil comes up, it gradually picks up and takes the eagle to heights that, unimaginable. But the eagle doesn't have to flap it. The eagle is basically just still. And you know how birds are always flapping their wings, but at this particular point, when the storm comes and everything, the eagle just glides and it's just still and calm, and the wind does its work and carries it above the storm, while other birds go and hide and other stuff. And this brought me to the part that it almost seems like everywhere you turn, there's a news about violence, just talking about Nigeria only now. Let's not even go outside our country. Let's just stay in Nigeria, stay in this present environment. There are news, murder, people being killed brutally, people being raped, domestic violence, abuse of all types. And I'm sorry to say this, that you're light, yes, but we're in a very dark world, and it's almost like it's going to get darker. And I believe that God is calling us and you and me to a place of absolute stillness, to really be still in Him, be calm in Him, and just glide by His Spirit above the raging storms of this world. It's very important, very, very, very important that you be still. It's an absolute state of calmness. It will. Now, this is what stillness will do for you. So let me use the story of Peter and Jesus walking on the water, and yeah, okay, no, not Peter and Jesus walking on the water, but I mean Peter, and Jesus and the disciples on a boat, and the storms came and it was raging and everybody was panicking and they kept on talking and everything, but Jesus was in the boat with them. And they were calling him, Master, this is gonna happen, this is it, and that's how some of us are. God has told us, and that was how I was when that robbery happened. I panicked, and I remember talking to God like, but God, you said you were gonna be with me. But then He said to me, I am with you. I was with you right there. Almost like how Jesus was, in the boat with the disciples when the storms came. So a word to you is that God is in the boat with you. I know that the storms are raging so greatly, but you've got to be able to be still. You've got to trust that God is in the boat with you. If you don't trust the one who is in the boat with you, then you're going to sink. Or you're going to jump ship even before healing comes. You're going to jump ship before deliverance comes. You're going to jump ship before help comes. Because you'll be too much engrossed by the raging storm, the fear, the anxiety, and that's what is happening to a lot of people. A lot of people are soaked in to that atmosphere of fear and rage and anxiety and depression and everything, and they're jumping ship. They keep jumping ship, and Christ is saying to you this morning, be still. It's not even speaking to the situation, he's speaking to you first. You've got to be still so that you can see the storm from a different perspective. You know, when Jesus was in the boat and everything, and all that was going on and everything, and they went to wake him up, he was sleeping peacefully, like, guys, this thing is normal. It's going to happen. This is the world you're in. Nature, naturally, when you do this, is going to happen. Storms happen. Storms rage. It's part of it. You know. And they went and woke him. Why you guys is stopping me? And he said, since you guys are not going to be still, let me speak to the storm. Bye. Storm, be still. Calm down for them. That's the way I'm relating it. But really, guys, this is what I believe that God is saying. That be still and know that I am God. How do you know God if you're not being still? You keep running helter-skelter. You keep running from one pillar to another. You keep moving from here to here because you're not sure of who is in the boat with you. And that's a good question. I think we'll even talk about it in the next episode. Who is in the boat with you? Let's even know who is in the boat with you. You know, so guys, I hope that this speaks to your hearts, encourages you to be still. Storms are raging, and it's so much noise, and it's loud. It's almost deafening. But this is it. Be still and know that He is God. It's in the place of stillness that you get to hear Him. It's in the place of stillness that you get to be able, that He gives you new eyes to see the storm from an eagle's perspective, and to see that, you know what, the storm is not here to kill me. The storm is not here to take my life. The storm is not here to drain me of life. But instead, how can I ride and glide on the storm and soar above the storm? The storm is not much powerful than the one who's in the boat with me. I hope this encourages you. I hope that this speaks to your heart. Thank you guys again for joining in. Till next time. Look forward to next time, because it's going to be fresh. It's going to be new. Thank you. Till next time. Bye guys. Love you. Mwah.